Hello and welcome to Building Your T-Shirt Empire. My name is Cole and with me as always is Gavin. This week we have an awesome guest. It's Jeremy Morillo from Stanley Stella. But real fast, let me tell you what Inktavo is up to. They have a last chance pricing promotion for 2025. If you guys book a call before April 30th, they're going to give you the best price of the year locked in for the rest of 2025. So the link will be in the description. That would include Inksoft, Printavo, Graphics Flow, and the entire family bundle in one low price. So great opportunity for you guys to check out, and the link is below in the description. Jeremy, tell us what you're up to. How is it going with Stanley Stella? We saw your launch at Impressions, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a whirlwind the last few months. To think that we launched only 3-4 months ago, it seems so distant because every day seems to be such a blur. But we're excited. There's a lot of good things happening with us internally as we grow and expand, but a lot of demand starting to come in, and a lot of people accepting the brand itself and really tapping into that premium market, right? So it's been very good.
Yeah, tell me. I've seen it in person, so I understand the kind of the quality differences. But if you could tell for the people that haven't seen the samples yet, what is it that truly makes it different? Why isn't it just another ring spun T-shirt?
It's funny. It goes. It's yeah. When you see the shirt, it really stands out. Kind of what your eyes tell you, right? But I think what comes down to us is just our core values of what we put into it before we actually go into production, and kind of what we stand for, right? So we stand upon these 5 pillars where it's designed like no other, decoration like no other, service like no other, cotton like no other, and ultimately when we finish this product and sustainability like no other, obviously, is that we did everything with 100% organic cotton, right? This is all GOT certified. And what we learned over the years is that it yields such a beautiful fine fabric that allows us to distinguish ourselves in the market that typically uses your standard comb yarn, right? But ultimately, I tell you what, when you see the knitting, the printability, the surface, the attention to detail as far as like stitches per inch, or there's no twin needle cover stitch, I think there's a lot of micro things that go into it that really stands out and makes us different.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed first was that shoulder stitch.
Yeah,
It doesn't have a bump. It's actually just like a smooth shoulder, and you don't normally
yeah.
see that on garments because it's harder to do, right? That kind of sewing is slower.
Yeah, it's definitely harder to do. It's a slower process, but those are the things that we like to tap into. Like we like to be challenged. Like how do we make our garments better? It may be slow, maybe more tougher, but at the end of the day, it makes us different. It makes it special, right? So hopefully that kind of passes on to the customer to identify those things to make themselves stand out ultimately versus being another t-shirt supplier.
Yeah,
I've seen you guys at the trade show this past at Long Beach. How long have you guys been around? Like just a little bit about like Stanley Stella. What are all they about?
Yeah, so Stanley Stella, we're the genesis of Jean Chabert. He's been in the industry for almost 4 decades. Phenomenal leader and really, really good creative genius, if you will. He's got a good visionary. We started in 2012, so we've been in business operating for almost 13, 14 years now. We're a
Hmm.
Belgian-based company. We are the largest premium apparel supplier in all of Europe, if you will, with multiple warehouse locations throughout, as well as the UK. Um, from the get-go, honestly, people thought he was crazy. Like, we're going to go strictly sustainable organic cotton. Nobody was doing it in 2012. You're crazy. This is unreal. Nobody wants that. Fast forward 10 years later, we turn over about 200 million annually in dollars. And you can see this kind of the growing appetite behind that of what people are striving or what they want to do to kind of impact the world and ultimately just put out a better garment. So yeah, we've grown exponentially over the last 13 years. We sit on 4 continents right now, globally as far as our supply chain and distribution. So it's very cool.
Hey, tell me about kind of your guys' thinking since you weren't really known in the American market. You had this weird situation where you were successful elsewhere, but kind of a startup here, and you
Hmm.
had to build a whole American team. You had to figure out how you would even present yourself to the market. What has that been like for the last 6 months?
It's been interesting. We definitely have a buzz right now, and we are getting pinged on LinkedIn, and people are reaching out to us if there's any opportunities. I think it's been such a great story so far, and we continue to want to challenge that and champion that, if you will. The beauty behind what we did was that when we came over here, we didn't want to do like a copy and paste where we just took our best styles and literally dropped it in here. We want to make sure we can identify what we're doing, right? So we took our top 36 styles and made it into a US spec, very intentional, kind of building on the demand of what the customers are looking for. And so I think people are resonating towards that because quite often their experience in the past with brands who are crossing over, vice versa, it's like, this is a great shirt, but it's not the right fit, it's not the right yarn, or not the right colors. But I think we've done enough R&D over the last 3 years before we made the decision to launch in the States to figure that part out.
You ended up launching at a pretty interesting time, especially with pricing.
Yeah.
How are you guys approaching that, and what should people expect when using your garments as far as price increases potentially happening? What's your outlook for that?
No, I think it's a very good question. It's definitely a hot topic over the last few weeks, right? We came into the market very, very price sensitive and price smart, where we wanted to sit in the totem pole among other premium suppliers in the industry, given that we're organic cotton and we're certified, things like that. So that gave us a really good leverage at that point. I think looking forward in future vision, if you will, we are taking it day by day, week by week. It's kind of challenging when people in Washington are, they softly say certain words and it triggers this reaction in the market, whether it's in Wall Street or across the world, but there's no action behind it. So that's kind of the steps we have to watch and monitor. So right now we're actively looking at things. So I can't really confirm neither here or there. It's just one of those we have to wait and see, to be honest.
So have you had to change your prices any since you
No,
guys
we
launched?
haven't. We are steadfast with what we currently have right now. So we're good to go for quite a while. And we have quite a bit of inventory, so we're certainly in a good spot to hold position.
Is the inventory being sold directly through you and through Sanmar, or who are the current distributors?
Yeah, so we have a 3PL warehouse here in Southern California that we worked with, for over 10 years. Not 10 years here, but 10 years in Europe. So I like to say that they're the pros, and they might know the product better than we do because they work with our product for so long. But our distribution partnership was with Sanmar. Yeah, we love working with Sanmar. They're such great partners with us, and it's been such an interesting ride to work with them because they have such a long history in our market, right? And such a strong reputation that when the tides rise, all boats will arrive, right? So we feel like the momentum is there, the partnership is correct, and things are just kind of anchoring forward.
Tell us who your customer's customer ends up being. Like, what's that ideal customer? If I'm running a print shop, I love your blanks, but I also know I have some price sensitive customers. What's that end customer model that I should be looking for, and what should they be potentially retailing at for that whole model to make the most sense?
That's a good question because although we've championed and really planted our flag in sustainability, and that's what we're known for through just the entire supply chain of what we do, right? That's our brand ID at the core. A lot of people turn to us when they want a better shirt. We want a premium shirt, but we don't want to overpay. So quite often, you might think, oh, it must be some guy who's very eco-friendly or wants something like that falls into our lap. Yes, you're correct, but the majority isn't. It's really just, hey, I have a brand, or I work for a corporate company called Google, or whatever it might be. This is a big initiative within, and we just want a better garment, right? Something that prints well, that fits well, that washes well. So right now we're seeing a lot of great traction in the music space as far as like tour merch and things like that. A lot of these artists themselves are in demand for greater quality, right? So we're going to be kind of the first brand to really truly embody that sustainability, that durability, and that distinguishability. And so we're seeing a lot of people in that category, in that space, really kind of gravitating towards the fact that we're sustainable because it aligns with kind of what they do and what they stand for. But at the same time, we're working with a lot of like offshore waterman sports guys, right? People are in the surf or in fishing, things like that. So it's a pretty big spread as well too. And we got a pretty good order with a very large coffee company, which is very cool. Yeah, very cool to see that. Just everybody's tapping in,
When I ran my shop, I kind of I kind of sold shirts like this with this mindset. If I had a customer come in, it was somebody that was very, very price sensitive. I had a good option, which was usually a name drop, which probably was a Gildan, something a heavyweight Gildan. I had a better option, which was probably like a next level or something like that. And then I had like my premium option would have been like a tri blend or something like that. Once I started selling like the different other brands, I'm not gonna name drop a lot your competitors. That's how I thought about it. Like, where does Stanley Stella fit in that model? Good, better, best, or do you have shirts that falls in all three of those categories?
So everything we do, you can identify with intent. We have shirts that could be a softer, lightweight, 150 GSM, like 4.6 ounce, that could compete with like a Bella 3001, Next Level 3600, AS Color Basic Tee, if you will. It's priced very smart. Some people told me, oh, it's like an organic shirt at non-organic prices. It's kind of cool. Like us, I'll steal that one from you guys. That was a good one. So they like the pricing, but that's when I say we're price smart. People can identify where they want to like position it. But for now, they're looking at the premium category. But the irony is that, like I said earlier, like you're getting such a premium product that's also sustainable, and you get all these cool things. It's like, well, I could present it as premium because of the quality is there and the story is there, but the pricing is here, right? So it's almost like where do they want to position it, right? You could put it here and like just bring it all together, or anchor it up here and just and grab only 20% of your business because you sell majority of the Gildan or whatever it might be. So it is totally up to the decorator of how they want to position it as far as like the lane they want to sit in, but it certainly could be a new revenue stream knowing that there's so many things they could speak upon it, whether it's an organic story, sustainability story, the quality, but the pricing is here. So it's a dynamic shirt. Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about the story from like cotton to t-shirt where like how is it that you source the organic cotton? How does that flow into the production line? And what is the difference between that and maybe kind of a dirtier shirt? What are the benefits for the people down that line who are potentially like the farmers?
Yeah, so it's really cool because one thing when I first joined this company last year is just how transparent we are. I worked directly with the COO. We had this little brand induction. We had all these workshops where we like to call ourselves masters of traceability. And so we work directly with the farmers, the ginners, and the spinners throughout the entire supply chain where we don't rely on third-party brokers sourcing this garment for us. And unfortunately, sometimes those guys really grind down on those suppliers, right? Whereas with us, we have our own boots on the ground, talking directly to the farmers, directly to the families, and literally handpicking the bales of cottons that we want to use, where we almost put that stamp of approval where it says Stanley Stella. So think of it like the coffee beans, where it's like, oh, this coffee bean is going to go to this roastery, that roastery. Like we are working that close with the farmers itself, which allows them to have a better quality of life because we are paying, a more premium price than the typical broker would pay. So there's definitely a sensibility of support that we want to pass through throughout that chain. But ultimately, when we go from the cotton to the ginners and the spinners as well, we understand and control the environment of producing like that high level quality without relying on other vendors telling us what the standards are. We actually have our own team in Bangladesh where we make the majority of our garments, about 37 employees that work with us directly, that are Stanley Stella employees that work within the factory partners that we work with. So it's very cool to see that you can ask us any question about the garments and everything's published online, got certification through third-party networks. We're GRS certified. We're part of the Fairwear Collective in Europe. So there's a lot of cool attributes that we offer that not many people do.
Yeah, that's awesome to be able to actually see everything and it not just be a black box.
Yeah.
Kind of switching gears, what are you guys thinking about like colors, styles, and trends? We had that heavyweight streetwear thing for a few years at this point. Are you guys going heavily into that direction or do you see that changing? What's the future?
We prior to us launching, we did a heavy dose of just market visits, if you will, nationally, right? With larger decorators, merchandise platforms, music merchandise brands. Tell you what, man, that heavyweight thing is not going away. That thing is still going. I think it's defaulting to just kind of the standard now as far as like the new classic tee. And that's going to kind of resonate with like the comfort colors and the garment wash shirt. I think people are adapting to it in the sense of like it's more of a standardization versus a trend. Obviously, you could distinguish it whether you have a taller neckband or a true drop shoulder where it's really kind of pushed off and really, really intentional in that sense. But I think overall, that classic oversized fit is going to remain just a standard fit now in the sense where it's not going to be a fashion garment. That's continuing to push forward. But I do see now those guys who used to wear oversized, they want slim skinny with the baggy jeans. So it's your narrow top, baggy at the bottom, right? That's where I see the position where we're going forward. Not where we're going forward, but where I see the trend is going forward. Where a lot of those guys are starting to move in that direction. That's pretty much going to be what it was 4 or 5 years ago, where that was kind of the standard too. But as far as colors, vintage white, bone, cream, natural, raw. Actually, this one is getting a lot of hits right now. It's called Heritage Brown. We do a lot of unique colors that are not seen in the market. Even color story and color names called the Sparrow. We have 4 different shades of white intentionally. It's not an off-white because by accident. People want white, but they want different whites. So certainly it's going to be a lot of neutrals or continue to climb. And then we're seeing a lot of dark chocolate browns and forest green. I like to say when you see stuff on high fashion or automobile industry, whether it be the high-level Mercedes, Porsche, or Range Rover, whatever they're doing or whatever Jacques Mus is doing or whatever Hermes is doing on their accessory line or their vehicles, it trickles down in the fashion world and all the way down to t-shirts as far as color stories. Not so much styling. That's why you're seeing a big shift as far as like those colors I mentioned, like the dark chocolates, as well as like the forest green that's almost like forest black. Those are going to be start hitting pretty quickly, pretty fast.
So are you doing color combinations across the entire line, or are you guys rolling it out on like specific products to kind of test the waters?
No, when we do it, we're all in. We do the whole collection. So when you build a merchandise story, we don't want to just offer it in a single style. Like if you want that t-shirt, it's going to come in a hood, sweatshirt, and a zip, and a t-shirt and a long sleeve. What's cool about our website, when you go on stanleystella.com, on the very top, there's a colors tab. You click on that color, you can shop by color. So if you type in Lilac Dream or Nispero, it'll show you all the items that are offered in that style. That when you merchandise it out, you can build a whole narrative behind it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Last time we spoke, this is a little bit personal. If you was working with a different company. I'm always curious how that's like when just going from one thing, making that transition. Like personally, how that was for you to work with this newer company, right? Because I know a lot of folks sometimes, like for example, Cole, he had to end his situation and transition to something else, and that's usually like really tough for people to make that transition. Even shop owners that may be thinking about, man, what's next for me? How was that like for you going from one brand that you worked for a long time to this new company? What's that journey, the details?
No, I mean, I think the journey is within yourself, right? Something that you stand for. I'm in a part of my journey in my life where I have, 2 younger children, a family. I'm a millennial, if you want to call it that. Jeez, right? Cole, you right there. So
millennial lifestyle.
Millennial lifestyle, man. We're right there. So there's stuff that resonated with me with Stanley Stella that really hit home as far as where I'm at in my life journey. So that transition was relatively smooth in what I stand for and what I want to be and what I want to represent in my life going forward. I think it was a natural step for me to kind of go into this space and represent Stanley Stella to the best of light in a sense. As far as like the business aspect of it, I think honestly, you build such strong relationships across the network, right? This industry is so small in the sense that you become buddies and good friends. I have a couple of friends in the industry that attended my wedding, right? So as a sales rep, you continue that relationship, right? That's something you've developed over the last X amount of years. So for them, they kind of like follow you in a sense, like you go, I go. So it's really cool for them to also like follow my journey, knowing that not only I can deliver a great product, but hopefully they think I'm a pretty good sales rep to kind of like support their business and and really just be an extension of themselves, right? So it's been very cool.
I mean, talking about being a great sales rep, I would love to know, how are you selling to people that don't know you? How do you feel like you're not, knocking on doors, cold calling, being annoying? How do you guys approach it so that it's a more of a relationship and it feels like you're not a pester, but you're a bonus to the company? You're like helping them.
Yeah, you know what it is? You don't go there selling your product. You go there to learn their business, right? Like, what are you guys up to? Who do you guys like to sell into? Who's your end user? And you kind of adapt to their needs and what they're looking for. And you help them kind of identify, like, have you ever considered this, right? You're not so much there to really just, here's an entire line. What do you need? I'll write it down. It's like, how can we be more collaborative? And we walk in there with more entrepreneurship, because we're talking to you, Cole. Like, you're the guy. One day you're catching shirts, the other day you're cutting checks, right? Like, you have so many things going on, but how do we become closer to you to feel like Jeremy's cool? Like, yeah, he sells me shirts, but like, he's also trying to help me hustle and figure out like my next step in my journey, like where I should go and how I could potentially layer in Stanley Stella into the whole mix, right? I think that what makes us and our entire sales team a little bit different, like no other. That makes us more collaborative in that sense versus just, here's a rack, here's a catalog, here's a swatch book, call me when you need me. We're more directionally involved, an extension of yourself. So that's kind of like what I think is our strong suit as a team and as a company as well too.
How do you think you would adapt that for a print shop owner who just feels like he doesn't have enough sales? How would you
have enough sales?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody, like, let's say they're at 800,000 for the year and they're like, we should be at 1.5 in the building we're in and we're just not doing it. Yeah. How do you think that they can do that same kind of outreach that you guys are doing on a smaller scale?
I think it depends what they're doing. Like, I know, Gavin, you mentioned that Good, Better, Best program, right? It's like, okay, I have this great shirt, Stanley Stella. It's a great garment. There's a whole sustainable story. There's excitement behind the brand. The quality is there, but the pricing is right. Like, do you want to create? Do you want to go and revisit all those corporate accounts that you wish you were servicing, but you don't want to go in there selling them another Gildan shirt that everybody's pitching at them? What's your new angle that you can position? Well, I got this thing called Stanley Stella, right? It's a great shirt. It's sustainable. I know from the top down in the C-suite, you guys have been talking about sustainability that I've been reading through LinkedIn, blah, 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 as if they're pitching it to like Google or whatever, right? Have you ever considered a sustainable shirt? Because currently in the market, there hasn't been one that's price so sensitive and priced right, like what we have it right now at Stanley, right? So for them, it's almost, I got this golden goose in my back pocket. What lane and how do I want to create that narrative to bring in new customers or revisit customers who I always had a desire to pitch to, but now I got this golden goose that nobody else has had, right? Because otherwise, if you're bidding on an order or a program, man, everybody's at the same starting point with X shirt, right? Because everybody's at $2. Like, that's great, but let me offer you a different service, a different level of quality, not only in the garment, but ultimately just your whole experience working with me as if I'm a decorator, right? And here's the shirt I'm going to bring. Like, whoa, nobody showed me this shirt before. You tell me I have to only pay 40 cents more or whatever it is. It's like, you have my ear, right? This is different. So I think for them, it's helping them identify how to use our garments correctly, the collection correctly, and just really putting it in the right lane, like a whole new revenue lane for themselves.
For those kind of programs, are there sampling programs set up at the moment for them to reach out to you guys?
Yeah, so we are very generous in samples. We want our garments out there because, like you said earlier in the podcast, you got to feel it to believe it, man. I can tell you so much. You can see all this data online. You can click on all these certifications that we have listed online. Like, that's all great. But I tell you what, the moment you feel our Cruiser or our Curator 2.0, you're like, okay, this whole narrative, the branding, the certifications, the investments that I see, like, I get it now. My eyes are telling me this is nice. And sometimes we get trapped in this whole identity of like ourselves. We know all the X's and O's, I call it, like 32 single, comb yard, 4.6 down. Like, I get it. But that guy that lives down the street, that's your neighbor who's buying a shirt from the boba store, he doesn't know all that. He just knows what nice is. I want a nice soft t-shirt. That looks like a nice soft t-shirt. I want that. And I think ultimately what I like to tell my customers, like, we could go through all that, But sometimes just what your eyes tell you, to be honest. And what does your eyes tell you here? This is pretty nice, right? And so I think that helps us kind of like create that full circle moment as far as our story and our brand position and what we stand for. And people kind of gravitate towards that.
What's the best way for somebody to reach out and actually get a rep that they can talk to as opposed to just solely being on the website?
Yeah, well, they can reach out to me, obviously. They can reach out to care@stanleystella.com. We definitely have people involved. We have a direct team here in Irvine, California, with our office based here and our 3PL based here in Southern California as well, too. And even honestly, we take Instagram DMs. I'm the one who's kind of channeling all that and getting filtered through me. But we could go that route as well, too.
Okay, so it almost worked. I was hoping he would jump back in when he froze, but I guess we'll just give him a second and then we can just go from the same question. If he doesn't come back in at all, then we can close out the podcast with me just kind of saying thank you after his last response. And that'll work in my opinion. So the sampling sounds like a great opportunity, especially for people that want to see the product themselves and also show it to new clients. What's the best way to reach out and actually get a hold of a sales rep as opposed to just buying through the website?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the website's the best channel. We do Instagram DMs, LinkedIn. You can reach us at care@stanleystella.com. We have an inside sales team that's dedicated here based in Irvine, California, that would reach out to you certainly and get you in touch with the right folks to get you lined up. But yeah, we have a very generous sampling program where, by all means, there's no better way to understand our garment once you feel and touch the shirt itself, right? So.
Yeah, it really is an awesome garment, and thanks so much for your time. If there's anything else you want to share with everybody, it's been really great having you on.
No, absolutely. I definitely appreciate it. Nothing on my side, so we'll definitely look forward to meet you guys again.
Sounds good. Well, thanks so much for listening, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.